Hello, good morning. I am going to present 6 IFCN criteria for identifying interictal equilibrium discharges. IFCN suggested 6 criteria for proper identifying interictal equilibrium discharges with a higher sensitivity and specificity. So here are 6 IFCN criteria. So criteria number 1, criteria number 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now what are the criteria? So I've seen suggested 6 criteria, and here what is equilibrium pattern? Equilibrium pattern is the transient. This should be a transient. Sorry, this should be a transient which is completely different from ongoing background activity. So what are the differences from background activity? Number 1, it should be diphasic or triphasic waveform. So this is the wave, a transient, and it is diphasic because there is a phase and there is another phase, diphasic. With spiky in morphology, so you can see the morphology, and it is spiky, diphasic and triphasic waveform with a spiky morphology. And this is the durations of the waveform. The duration should be completely different from ongoing background waveform. So this is the transient, and this duration is different from the durations of preceding wave. So this is the duration of this wave, and this is the durations of this wave, and this is the duration of this transient. So this duration is completely different from other waveform. You can see. And number 3, asymmetry of the waveform. So in the wave, we can see there is an ascending arm and a downgoing arm. So ascending arm and descending arm, and those two arms should be asymmetrical. That means the sloping should be completely different. That means ascending limb is steeper than the downgoing limb. It can be opposite also. So ascending and descending limb should be completely different, should be asymmetrical. Number 4 criteria. The transient is followed by associated aftergoing slow wave. And this is the aftergoing slow wave. Number 4, slow wave. That means the duration is more than 200 milliseconds. Okay. And number 5, the background should be disrupted. This is the background that comes after the transient, and this background has a low amplitude and higher frequency activity than the preceding activity. You can see this is preceding activity, this is aftergoing activity, and not always the background should be disrupted always after the transient. The disrupted background can be present even just before the transient. So it is not always after the transient. So this is the number 6 criteria which has came from the voltage map. In the voltage map, we should get a clear idea about the source of the transient, and voltage map should suggest a radial, oblique, or tangential orientation of the source. So if there is no voltage map, we can get this idea from common average referential voltage also. So here are 6 criteria. I should repeat. Number 1 criteria, this is diphasic or triphasic waveform with spiky or sharpened morphology with a pointed peak. Number 2, the durations of the waveform should be different from the ongoing background activity and wave. And number 3, the waveform should be asymmetrical, upsloping and downsloping. One limb should be steeper than the other limb. And number 4, there should be a aftergoing slow wave and background activity is disrupted. This is number 5. And number 6 criteria came from the voltage map or common average referential voltage, and it should suggest the electrical activity came from the brain, source is from the brain. Okay. And here are equilibrium ditches, we can see this ditches has biphasic and spiky morphology, and duration of the waveform is completely different from ongoing background activity, and there is no significant asymmetry here, and we can also see after doing slow wave, but the background activity is not disrupted, and we don't get a voltage map here. Uh, this is another easy showing again sharp transient. So this is ascending, and this is this it is biphasic sharpened morphology, and asymmetry is present there. Wave durations is also different, and there is a slow aftergoing activity. So we can see here also there is there is another easy which is biphasic, another easy which is showing biphasic transient. Duration is different, and but there is no significant asymmetry, but there is a aftergoing slow wave, and background activity is disrupted there in comparison to preceding background. We cannot get a voltage map as well. So this is another easy showing another spiky wave. uh, this is spiky and duration also different, but there is no asymmetry, no aftergoing slow wave, and background activity is not disrupted here. So this is not indirectly from features. So how many criteria should be met to be considered as intellectual equilibrium ditches? So at least one ditches is sufficient enough to be considered as equilibrium ditches if 5 criteria are met. But if number 1, 4, and 6 criteria are met, then at least 2 ditches should be present. When 4 criteria are met, then at least 4 ditches should be present to be considered as equilibrium ditches. When 3 criteria are met, then at least the 5 ditches should be present to be considered as equilibrium ditches. Otherwise, this is not equilibrium ditches. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.